Hi guys, it's Bob from B&C Retirement Adventures. And today I thought we would talk about homeowners associations, better known as HOAs. Now, I live in a condo. There's 82 units in our complex. And so we have what is called a board of directors, which consists of between 3 and usually 5 people that live and own property in the building. Now, these people are to make sure that while living in this little community, that the building is taken care of and that people follow the rules and regulations of this building. So I thought we would talk a little bit about rules and regulations underneath a HOA. So in my building, where I've lived for the past 32 years, we do have a set of rules. Our condo association sets up and puts out a set of rules once in a while. It's not an everyday or an every year thing. Your set of rules might last 5-6 years, but depending on the type of rules and how things have changed, the rules can go back and forth. But there's basic rules. And some of these rules are set in place just to keep you safe while living in our community. So let's go over what we have, and you can kind of understand what it is to live in a condominium under an HOA. So I have our set of rules here, and they're probably just like most other HOAs, but they differ from association to association. And here we start out with one of our most important rules, and that's the insurance coverage you have on your unit. Now, one thing you want to make sure is you have the proper insurance on your unit. And the job of the board of directors is to make sure that the type of homeowners insurance you have is going to cover you and anything that may happen in the building. So you need to check with your insurance company to find out the proper types of insurance that you would need for a condominium or a townhouse, something like that, living in an HOA. So that's like one of the major things you want to do. Make sure you have the proper insurance on your property. Now there's also general rules, and in these general rules, I'll comment on a few things such as keeping the hallways clear, keeping the noise down, respecting your neighbors, basic things that you would want people to do to respect you, you do to respect them. But if they're not written on paper in a set of rules, people can get away with these things. So one of the main reasons why you have HOA rules is to be able to tell people, hey, you can't do this, you're disrupting other people. And by continuing to do so, you could possibly be fined. And that fine can range from where I live anywhere from $25 up to $500, depending on the infraction. But anyway, then the rules, they talk about architectural changes. Sorry, that's a hard word for me to get out. And what is meant by that is you can't really just go into your hallway and start building something, putting a doorway in, knocking down a wall. You can't go outside onto your balcony and decide you're going to change the structure of your railings, any of that stuff. anything outside your unit that is architectural, you cannot just change because you feel the need to do so. It's against the rules, and it's against the rules in most buildings. So make sure that you check with your homeowners association or board of directors to make sure what you can and cannot do if the rules aren't specifically clear on that. Okay, so anything outside your unit, check with the HOA or your board members before you make any changes. And I'm talking as little as putting a grill out on your balcony. Our association will not allow charcoal grills. They must be gas grills only. And there has to be a fire extinguisher outside accompanying that grill, or you're in violation of the association rules and the rules and laws set forth by the fire department. So, in doing so, always check with your association if you're not sure of what the rules are, or they're just not that clear to you. Now, you also have what is known as common elements. And what they mean by common elements are your hallways, your stairwells, your elevators, even your balcony. Even though it's attached to your unit, it is outside your unit, so it's still somewhat considered a common element or area. So what I mean by that is, depending on where you're at outside your unit, that's something, and that's a place that everybody uses. And like I said, it means your roof, your stairwell, your elevator, your hallways, your driveway, your parking lots, your walkways, your lawns, your landscape, anything on the exterior of the building. That is what is known as a common element. And there's rules and regulations that you need to follow for those. Now let's start with your hallway. You are not allowed to leave your shoes outside, to put a floor mat out there that says welcome on it, to store your bicycle in the hallway, to take your garbage out and just set it in the hallway and decide, well, I'll take it and throw it away tomorrow morning. Those are no-nos. You can't do that kind of stuff. So read your rules. A lot of these things, like I said, are common sense to most people, but we're not most people. So you got to take that into consideration. In our building, we have a garbage chute, which means every floor you don't have to walk outside to throw your garbage away. You walk down the hallway, go around the corner, and open up a door to a utility room, and there's a chute that goes directly into the garbage bins downstairs in the garage. So they got rules in place that you can't just dump your cat litter down the garage, down the chute. You can't dump open containers in the chute. You can't dump open trash bags down that container into the chute. You can't dump cardboard boxes, TVs, stuff like that down the chute. Anything that's going to make a mess or clog up the chute is a big no-no. And also in our association, we recycle. So we're not supposed to throw down glass, plastic, cardboard, recyclable items. We have a recyclable bin downstairs in the garage area, which you still don't go outside. It's all in the building, and you put it in there. So, like I said, read the rules when it comes to common areas, garbage, your hallways, what you can and cannot do outside your unit. Okay? Now, you also want to make sure that you give the proper information about you to the association, meaning the board of directors or the HOA. Now, what they mean by that is your name, your unit number, the type of insurance you have on your unit, how many people live in this unit, your phone number, what type of car you own, what color your car is, the type of insurance that is on your car, your license plate number. There's a lot of information that you need to give while living in an HOA. And again, that's to protect you. And basically that gives them the information, knowing that if something happens to your vehicle while out in the parking lot, they'll know who to contact. Your vehicle has a flat tire. Your neighbor sees it. Call up the association and say, hey, we got this vehicle out here with a flat tire. I'm not sure if the owner knows it. They can call you and let you know you have a flat tire. Damage to your vehicle, whatever. Now in our place, we have stickers that go on our windshield on the passenger side with a number on it. And that number indicates who that vehicle belongs to. So they can always find out, either by the license plate, but more importantly, by that sticker on your car. And again, if you don't have that sticker on your car and you park in residential parking, owners parking, you can, and trust me, in our building, you will be ticketed. Now, if you have a guest that comes over, we have these little green placards that go on your rear view mirror, and you're allowed to park on a certain section of the property, but you must have that placard in your window. Without it, you can be towed. And trust assured, if you're parked overnight, by next morning, more than likely, you're going to be towed. That's how strict they are when it comes to the parking around here. So again, follow your rules and regulations. Know your rules and regulations. That way, you don't run into problems. Now, we've already hit on the garbage and the garbage chutes and stuff like that. But we'll talk a little bit about our balconies. We have balconies. And like I said, if you want to have a barbecue grill out there, it must be a gas grill. You cannot have charcoal, no large open flames shooting up and stuff like that. Not only is that a rule for the association, but it's also a village ordinance from the fire department. So you got to check on those kind of things. You can't have a planter hanging from the roof of your balcony to where it swings back and forth in the wind and could possibly fall off and hit somebody walking by, land on their car, do damage, possibly severely hurt someone. So, it's common sense rules like that are in place. You can't drill a hole into the concrete wall so you can hang a planter box there. That's architecturally changing the structure of the building. You can't do that. So again, common sense. If you don't already have electricity out there, call your board of directors. Tell them what you'd like to do. They'll tell you if you can and how you have to go about doing it. That simple. Ask questions, get the answers you need. Now you've also got basic things as being courteous to your neighbors. And what I mean by that is not being loud, not playing music to all hours of the night, having a party in your unit and keeping the door in your balcony open so the whole section can hear what's going on. Be respectful of the people that you live with. Most of us have jobs. We've got to get up in the morning, go to work, So most associations have rules in place for when you can and cannot be a little noisy. Ours is from 8 in the morning till 8 at night. And that's the same thing with construction, if you're working on your unit and stuff like that. There's set times to do that. Now, we also have laundry facilities on every floor. So in our building, you don't have to go downstairs to a dark and dingy laundry room in the basement. We go around the corner and we have a nice laundry room. We have 2 washers and 2 dryers for each floor. Now, even with that, there's rules and regulations. Don't add extra water. Don't stuff the machines too full. Don't put in too much soap. And don't do your laundry between 7 a.m. and 10 a.m. at night. After 10 a.m., you have to stop. Now, not that it really disturbs anybody that much, but people will put shoes in there, and their tennis shoes getting dry, and some people use those little laundry dryer balls. They make some noise. And even though our building is pretty quiet when it comes to being soundproof, the doors aren't. You can hear right through these doors. So again, these rules are in place to convenience all the unit owners. Now again, we've already touched on the parking and stuff like that. Again, just be aware of what you can and cannot do. Make sure that when you have your visitors over, that they park in the visitor's lot. Now, depending on the association you live in, you never know when that tow company is going to come around, and just take a look at and see if there's any cars that don't have the proper tags on them or don't belong here because they're not owners. You don't want a surprise when you come out and, oh geez, Aunt Margaret's car's gone. Oh, oh man, you didn't park in the right spot. You're going to feel like an idiot. So be aware of that. But also in your parking lot, we can't turn around and just have Jimmy Joe from a construction company with his construction truck park in our parking lot. Even though he lives here and he owns his property, we have a rule where you cannot park commercial vehicles overnight in our parking lot. Main reason being, commercial vehicles attract the bad guys. They look at a vehicle like a mechanic's vehicle or plumber's truck, electrical, AT&T or something like that, as a potential profit. So they'll come onto your property to break into that vehicle and to take whatever they can take. So that's one of the reasons. I'm sure they have others. And we also have things in place to where you're not allowed to park your car in the same spot for 2 weeks. I can kind of understand that, because there are some people who, we don't have assigned parking spaces like some places do, but there are some people who will park in what we would call the very convenient spots and just store their car there. Well, that's not giving anybody else the opportunity to park in that spot, and that's wrong. So we have a rule that says if you have another car and you're going to park it in a spot, what we're going to do is we're going to give you one of these visitor passes, and you can rent an extra spot to put that car in, because we're only allowed one car per spot in the parking lot. Now, we also have a parking garage. If you own a parking spot in the garage, you can park a car in the garage, you can park a car out here. You're okay to do that, but depending on where you live, the rules might be different. Now, if your car has a flat tire and it's sitting out there for a couple of weeks and nobody's doing nothing with it, they'll consider that car to be abandoned. They'll have it towed. If that car has expired license plates and it sits out there for over 2 weeks, they're going to consider that car abandoned and they're going to have it towed. They're not going to get a hold of you, even though they know that that car belongs to Jimmy, Joe, or Mary. They're not going to say, hey, look, you got to do this, because you know the rules. So either get the car fixed, talk to your board of directors to set something up, or come out one day and, surprise, your car's towed. Now, depending on the tow company, that might cost you a couple $100, so keep that in mind. Now, we also have a swimming pool, indoor swimming pool. We have a sauna. We have a workout area. Now, there's rules and regulations in place for that. Very good rule. No glass allowed in the pool area. No alcohol allowed in the pool area. No eating allowed in the pool area. I mean, they even have the rules. There's no toys allowed in the pool area. Kids aren't allowed to splash around in the pool. I mean, kids are going to be kids. So, these rules are in place to help protect the children, but parents, you're their main protectors. You know what they should and shouldn't do, but you also know what the rules are. So follow those rules. We have a system that's called a fob system that lets you in and out of your doors, your entry doors, the pool and garage and stuff like that. So they always know who's coming or going. And we have video cameras. But inside the pool, we have it set up to where at 11 o'clock at night, the entrance doors close. They lock. They lock automatically. And they don't unlock until 5 a.m. Now, if there's an emergency, yes, people can get in there. We have key access also. So it's not like it's permanently locked to where you can't get in case of an emergency, because you can. Our stairwell doors on the first floor are locked. So in case somebody decides they can break in through that, then they got another barrier they got to break through. So, it's 2 barriers of security. The third barrier is the locks on your doors getting into your unit. So again, you got these rules and regulations. Living with an HOA. We've talked about the laundry room. We've talked about the keys, the fob system, our security system, our laundry facilities. Now, we also have rules when it comes to pets. A lot of HOAs have these rules. And our rule is no dogs. You can have a cat, only one. You can have small tropical fish. You can have a bird. But you cannot have exotic animals, exotic reptiles. You can't be living next door to Jimmy who's got a monkey. Okay? It's against the rules. I think that's funny because we did have a guy in the other side who did have a monkey. Yeah, unfortunately, it didn't last very long. But anyway, that being said, pay attention to these rules and regulations. Some people say, well, I've got my sister's dog over here because she's on vacation and she doesn't want to leave the dog in a kennel or whatever. Well, you can't do that, Now, if your dog is a service dog and it's a legally licensed service dog and your doctor says you need this dog, that's a different story. You are allowed to have a service dog, okay? You can't have a service bird. You can have a service cat. You can't have a service snapping turtle or something like that, But we do cater to the handicap. I'm handicapped. I can't walk very far without getting super tired. So, see me with a dog outside walking. I can't even do that. So pay attention to your rules when it comes to the type of pets you can have. Now, we also have another rule that states you are not allowed to lease your unit. If I decide that I want to move out and move to Florida and buy a place in Florida, but I want to keep this place, but I want to lease it out so I can make a little money on it, can't do that. It's against the rules. We're not allowed to do that. Now, they do make one exception. They will allow us to rent our unit out to an immediate family member. I'm talking your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, one of your kids, or your grandparents for up to a year. After that year, you have to apply for an extension. And that extension will allow you to go 6 more months. And that is all they're going to give you, is a year and a half. After that, either you leave your unit empty or you move back in. Now, you can own a unit. You don't have to live here, but you still have to pay the association dues. And if you don't pay those, then you start getting fined, and eventually they can take over your unit, and that turns into a lot of legal hassles. Now, there's also rules, especially when you live on the 3rd floor like I do. You can't have hardwood floors. Even though there's, a good foot of concrete between me and the unit below us, walking on a hardwood floor with a pair of boots on, a pair of high heel shoes. Guess who gets to listen to that noise? Yep, your neighbor below. So because of that, we can only have carpet or approved laminate floors that are basically soundproof. Now you can have, your regular tile floor in your kitchen, your bathroom, and your little foyer in the front door, but that's about it. So again, rules like that you have to follow. So part of living in an HOA. Now again, violating the rules, depending on how severe that violation is, will depend on how much trouble you could possibly get into. Now, don't get me wrong, I was on the board of directors here in my building for 10 years. I had to decide whether or not a unit owner was basically getting evicted because they owed thousands of dollars in back maintenance fees. Why it was allowed to get that bad, I don't know. But it was, and it never should have. So I kind of blame that on the other board when they just allowed it to happen. But when we had a new board in and I was on that board, we were like, we can't allow this to happen. This is hurting everybody that lives in the building. The last thing you want to do is throw somebody out of your unit, but unfortunately, we had to have the sheriff's department come out here and basically evict the owner from their unit because of all the back money that they owed. Now, granted, you got to go through the court system. It has to be approved and all that stuff before you can do it, but it can be done. So be careful with that. I mean, it's just like an eviction. It's just a little bit different. So again, be careful of that stuff. And also, you're responsible for anything inside your unit. If something happens inside your unit, the association and the money that you have built up in the association isn't responsible for fixing, the doorknob that falls off your closet door, the faucet handle that breaks in the kitchen, the pitcher that falls off the wall, or, the stain that gets on your carpet. That's all you. We have baseboard hot water heating. Now we're responsible to make sure the zone valves are working properly because they're inside the unit. We're responsible for our thermostat. We're responsible for keeping our vents and stuff clean like that. If anything happens to that inside the unit owner is responsible. So remember that. You aren't responsible for the stuff that happens outside your unit as long as you didn't cause it. So it's taken care of by the association. Now what I mean by the association is I mean by all the owners. If you own a piece of property in that building that you're living in, you are part of that association. You're an owner. You own the parking lot with everybody else. You own the pool with everybody else. You own the hallways, the elevators, the stairwells, the lights outside. You own all that stuff with everybody else who lives here. And all those people pay their association dues to maintain all that stuff. Now granted, there might be a time where you need to get I can't remember what it's called, but it's like an emergency type situation to where if the board doesn't have the money in the account to pay for the repairs needed, they can go ahead and charge the unit owners. And in our building, they'll charge you so much per square foot of your unit. So depending on the size of your unit will depend on how much it would cost you, say, for the roof repair. Say you needed a new roof and it was going to cost $250,000 or something like that, and that's all the money you have. Well, they're going to do what they call, I'm sorry, I remember it now, a special assessment, which means everybody's got to kick in a certain amount of money. Now, we had that years ago when we had the new roof put on. We've got a huge roof, and it's a flat roof with the rubber membrane. And I'm not sure how much it costs, but typically each unit owner had to pay about $600. Now, that was over 20 years ago. So hopefully when we do need another roof, the money's in the account. But if not, if you look at it, $600, $1,000, $1,500 for a new roof isn't bad at all. Trust me. People who own their own homes and have to put on a roof know that. But then again, people on fixed incomes who don't have that money in the bank, that's an extra expense. So pay your bills on time, and make sure the board members are keeping track of things. So anyway, that's what it's like living in a condominium under an HOA. So if there's anything in this video that I could have touched on that you have answers or questions to, please feel free to comment below. And hey, do me a favor. Subscribe to my channel and comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know how you feel. And do me a favor. Hit that notification button so every time I upload a video, you'll be notified. Again, I'm Bob from B&C Retirement Adventures. I talk about everything in retirement. HOAs is part of it. And we'll get into some things, as far as downsizing and stuff like that in your retirement, which is another video. But anyway, I'm cutting it now, guys. I want you guys to do me a favor. Stay healthy, stay safe, and peace out. Bye.